This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, very good. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And for the record, the date is October 21st, 2025, and the time is approximately 9:07. Stephanie, could you do us the honor of a roll call to confirm a quorum?
Lori?
Here.
Julie?
Here.
Annie?
Here.
Ed? No, Ed? Kathy?
Here.
Owen?
Here.
And Gary.
Here.
Wonderful. Staff in attendance today, we have Assistant Attorney General Raul Ramirez. We have Administrator Chad Cook, Fiscal Analyst Paul Lindsay, and Administrative Specialist Stephanie.
Great. Thank you, Steph. It looks like we have a couple of members of the public here. Do we have any public input today? Scott or Robert? Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair, but I do not have anything to add at this time. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for being here, too. We appreciate you. Let's see here. Well, it looks like I would entertain a motion to accept the July 22nd board meeting minutes.
I would make a motion to adopt those meeting minutes with the clarification that we got two sets. I want to make sure that we're working with the second set, the corrected set.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Steph, could you take a vote?
Lori?
Here. Yes.
Julie?
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't there.
Annie?
Yes.
We have no Ed. Kathy?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
And Gary.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Well, let's move on to our next agenda item. It looks like we need to set our schedule, our meeting schedule for next year. Did everybody have an opportunity to take a look at those proposed dates on the agenda and see if there were any conflicts?
I think those work on my end.
Okay. The only question that I have, Chad, can we do October as a tentative date since Arrow has not yet been scheduled? I'm not sure who all is going to be attending.
Yeah. As long as we post public notice, generally the guideline is like a week or more prior to meeting. Okay. At this point, that's not a problem at all.
Okay, we'll just keep our eye on that one then.
Those dates work for me. I don't have anything scheduled out that far, so.
Okay, great.
And if we want to just call out the specific dates, just so it's on the record for audio, or just for the motion, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I would entertain a motion that we schedule our meetings for the following dates in 2026. It would be January 20th, April 21st, July 21st, and October 20th.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, Steph?
Lori?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
And Gary.
Yes.
Great, motion passes. Moving on, Paul, can we turn this over to you for the budget report? I'm not hearing Paul right now. Oh, no.
He's
Should we
muted.
skip that item and come back?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, great, Paul.
I forgot to take it off mute. Sorry, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Being this early in the stage for the budget, 3 months in, all we can keep doing is watching our expenses and our income. There is a major change, and Chad will be talking about down the road in the agenda, but we do have a savings with our personnel changes in our office. So with our savings, I can say right now, so far, we're still going to be short, but we're going to jump way down to only 69,300 and something shortfall for the biennium. Now, saying that, it all depends on what we do about position-wise. But we've also picked up 3 new AMCs in this last month. That's not on this report. So that's good for us. All we can keep doing is keep an eye on our expenses in our offices, like Chad's doing, and keep a tight fit rope on everything. So any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll keep an eye as close as I can and see what we can do to keep saving money.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Yep, thank you.
So Chad, can we turn this over to you for the licensing and AMC report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So as these numbers are all developed as of the end of the quarter, that would be the end of September, September 30th of this year. The numbers are more or less what we've been kind of expecting with the trend over the last biennium and a half. As of September 30th, 2025, we have 616 active certified general appraisers. We have 565 active certified residential appraisers and 108 active state licensed appraisers. Now those numbers, if you're looking at this licensing report, there is a steady, well, there was a bit of an increase from 2020 to 22, but following 2022, we've seen a pretty consistent decline year over year in terms of our overall licensing numbers. So our total active licensee population right now, or as of September 30th, is 1,289 appraisers. That number, if you remember our last board meeting, as of the last report that I gave you folks, we had 1,308 active appraisers. So that's a decrease of about 30. AMCs, I'm sorry, actually, I'll get to that later. Let's see. As of September 30th, 2025, we have 22 certified general inactive appraisers. Those are appraisers choosing to renew their licenses but not actively practicing in the marketplace. We have 33 inactive certified residential appraisers and 20 inactive state licensed appraisers for a total population of inactive appraisers of 75. So we still have roughly 1,300 or so folks, appraisers in the profession, but a number of those are not actively practicing. That would include myself as one of those licensees that's inactive. As of September 30th, 2025, we have 53 registered appraiser assistants. And again, that number is a pretty consistent decline. If you look at these numbers year over year from previous years, the number of active appraiser assistants has been pretty steadily declining for really the last 3 or 4 years. Now that could be, I would imagine that's probably due in part to the current market conditions, changes with, the appraisal volumes on the lending side, things like that. If supervisors don't have a ton of work, they're not probably going to be looking real hard at taking on additional assistance and, increasing overhead and those kinds of things. So that number has been in a pretty steady decline. I do want to remind everybody that we now have a secondary path to licensure in Oregon, that being the practical applications of real estate appraisal. So my hope, given that that was just formally adopted not that long ago, the program does take a good bit of time to go through. So there's going to be a lag between when it was adopted and when we see our first application for licensure through the secondary pathway. But my hope is that that's going to generate a number of folks getting into the business that otherwise would have had difficulty finding supervisors and all that stuff, which is, I'm pretty sure, exactly why that program was developed and implemented, was part of it being the difficulty finding a supervisor. So the assistant numbers are on the decline, but they very well may be supplemented in the very near future with those PERIA graduates.
Right. Kathy, did you have something to add to the discussion?
I just wanted to comment that I have been made aware of the first trainee that is going through the PERIA program here in Oregon.
Excellent.
He's actually a friend of mine, and I've asked him to keep me posted on his progress on that.
Thank you. And that actually brings up another piece of information that just kind of slipped my mind. We at the state do not know who's registered for PREA because they do not register with the board. The way that the rules are adopted and written, we accept PREA as a pathway, but we don't approve either the curriculum of PREA, nor do we approve people getting into the PREA program. That all happens on the Appraisal Institute side, or later on when there's other providers, that will be on the provider to track that stuff. So as far as our knowledge of who's in the program and where they're at in the process and how far they've made it and when they're going to be applying, we really won't know those things until we see those first application packages come in, where instead of a supervisor with an experience log, we've got the PREA, either the one or both certificates for the programs. That will be when we can start actually reporting numbers firsthand on what we're seeing. So until then, I am going to rely on all of you to tell us what you're seeing out there too.
So Kathy, maybe you can ask your friend to come in and talk to us about it at maybe our next board meeting or the one after that. Be interested.
Absolutely.
To hear what he or she has to say on the program. So that's great. And Chad, I didn't mean to interrupt your licensing report. Were you done with that and ready to move on to enforcement, or did you have more to add?
Almost. We have one other number to report to you folks today, and that's the AMCs. So as of September 30th, we had 97 registered AMCs, and according to Paul, as of today, that number is more like 100, which is not a huge increase, but it's a positive trend from the last two reports that I've given you folks. That's really good news too. I'm happy to see that side of the business is active and at least growing a little bit. So yeah, with that last number reported for the AMCs, that is the entirety of the licensing report. Happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Doesn't sound like there are any questions. So Chad, how about if we move on to the enforcement report? Yes, ma'am. So these numbers again are as of September 30th, 2025. And you'll notice this first one is one that I'm very, very proud of. I alluded to it in our last Enforcement Oversight Committee meeting, but I believe as of September 30th, for the last quarter that I'm reporting here, at least with my time at the board, this is a record number of cases closed in 1 3-month period. That has a lot to do with our compliance consultants and all the help that you board members have been giving us in other avenues, like, taking audits off of the investigators' hands and things like that. But as of September 30th, 21 cases. Oh, Annie, did you have a question? No? Okay. So as of the September 30th, we've closed 21 cases for the last quarter. Following this report being run, though, we actually had another few cases closed administratively through our review process. We don't need to report those today because they weren't part of this quarter. But yeah, I'm very, very proud to say that we closed 21 cases as over the last 3 months. Which brings us to the next number, which is less positive, but way better than it was this last report that I gave to you folks. As of September 30th, we have a total of 67 active open investigations with the board. Of those 67, 3 are new, or at the time of this report being run, they were new and are being vetted to determine whether or not we need to investigate further or if the cases can be closed. That's the initial process that we go through. Whenever the board receives a complaint or an allegation report initially, we vet it to make sure that A, it's something that's under our authority to investigate and enforce, and B, that the allegations hold some merit or are relevant to the appraisal process and the things that we enforce. And then beyond that, we look at the appraisal to see, in addition to or instead of the allegations, are there any issues that we've identified that would warrant further investigation? So there are 3 that are being vetted to make that determination right now. 51 of our 67 cases are pending an assignment to an investigator. And that's just kind of where the cases go. Once we've vetted them and made sure that this is an area that we need to exercise authority or do an investigation, they need to be assigned, and they sit there, and basically we assign cases. Cases are investigated in the order that they're received chronologically, unless there's a compelling reason
to bump things to the front of the line, like for public health and safety, the public trust, things like that. That are what we would consider more serious cases. Those go more or less straight to the front of the line. But in any case, we have 51 that are pending assignment. As of the date this report was run, we have 2 investigations in process and 2 that will be going, or the 2 that went to the October meeting of the Enforcement Oversight Committee. Those 2 investigations that were in process are now headed to our November Enforcement Committee, and the 2 that were at our October EOC Enforcement Committee are on the agenda today for your approval later on. And that would 9 pending board approval. That would be 2 of those EOC cases are among the cases, those 9 cases for board approval. Let's see, cases over 1 year old. So this is the number that we've been working very hard, really, since I came on with the board, since Dan Murphy and I both came on with the board. This is the number that we've been working diligently every day to try and reduce. The number of cases over 1 year old, that would be cases open before September 30th of 2024. We currently have 54. Now that I don't have the previous board meeting report pulled up here, but that number is substantially smaller than it was at the last report in July, I think by around 20 cases or so. Let's see, case statuses of the ones that are over a year old. 45 of those are still pending investigation that need to be assigned. 2 are currently being investigated, or the investigations are in process. And as I said previously, 2 are headed to the November Enforcement Oversight Committee. Of the cases that are over 1 year old, 5 are before the board for approval. So 5 of the 9 that you'll be dealing with later today are that over 1 year old mark. So that's another big bite out of that inventory that we've been working so hard to close. Essentially, that covers the enforcement report, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Just a comment, really good work, Chad and Dan. I know it's a lot of work.
Well, we appreciate all the support you guys give us too. That would not be possible without the support that you're all actively engaged in what we're doing here, and it's really, really critical, and we're grateful.
Chad, I did just pull up the April report, and the cases over 1 year old was 74 at that point in time. So it is down 20. It's a great job.
Okay, perfect.
Fantastic.
And that number hopefully will grow as we get further on into this process. Like I said at the last board meeting, our programs are building momentum, and we've found a real good rhythm, and hoping to keep that trend.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure we will. So speaking of getting into a rhythm, we have a bunch of board orders to ratify today. So let's see, how should we do this, Chad? Should I just entertain a motion on each one?
So what we would need to do generally, just for the record, is call out the case number and then the action that's taken. So I would start at the top with the letters of counsel and just go one by one by one. Down at the bottom where we've got the other orders that are disciplinary, the final consent orders, you'll notice that there's one for the same individual listed. It's 2 different cases for the same person listed twice. That is one final consent order. So you can call both of those, those 2 last cases, you could call those out together because it's part of the same settlement agreement. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move forward with this. I would entertain a motion to approve case number 21-2481 with the dismiss with counsel.
Can I make that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none. Stephanie?
Lori?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Lynn?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
And Gary?
Yes.
Great, motion passes. I would entertain a motion to approve case number 21-2487 with a dismiss with counsel.
That was 2482, right, Lori?
I'm sorry, yes, 2482. Forgive me, my cat is zooming in the background. It distracted me for a moment. That was dismissed.
I also move.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes. Moving on, I would entertain a motion to approve case number 21-2483, dismissed with counsel.
I would make that motion.
I'll
Have a second?
second then.
Very good. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yeah.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to approve case number 21-2484, dismissed with counsel.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to approve case number 21-2489, dismissed with counsel.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. We're in the home stretch here, guys. So we're moving on to final consent orders. Do I have a motion to approve case number 24-2628, civil penalty with suspension?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? Okay, Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve case number 25-2638, and this was a voluntary surrender?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
What a shame.
Right. Understood. Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve case numbers, excuse me, 25-2640 and 25-2643? This appraiser has agreed that she will not renew or reapply for a license in the state of Oregon.
So moved.
Second.
That's very good. Any discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none. Stephanie?
Lori,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Excellent. Motion passes. And thank you all. That was a long list. It's nice to get those closed out. So, well, moving on to the chair's report, I've got one item, and that is to welcome and introduce our newest board member, and that's Gary Kurtikashian. Gary, did I pronounce that right?
Oh, well said. You couldn't have done better, Lori. Thank you for the introduction.
Very good. Hey, could you just give us a little introduction about yourself? Give us a little, information about
Sure.
your background and all of that?
Sure, yeah. Started in appraisal in 2004 and started in Los Angeles County and worked there for quite a long time. Eventually moved up here. Simultaneously, I'm also a mortgage lender and hold my broker license. So I do federally rated transactions, mortgages, and et cetera. And yeah, just came into the board just to promote the whole professionalism, the appraisal industry, and try to work through the board and to promote the public's trust and make the industry a little better place.
Well, we appreciate your service and welcome.
Welcome, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you, Owen.
Wonderful. So that is the conclusion of my report. Chad, can I turn this back over to you for the administrator's report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'll try to keep this brief today. I know that's not really my strong suit. I wanted to give you all first a quick update on our compliance and enforcement support program that is funded by the appraisal subcommittee's grant that we've gotten actually. And in fact, I think the last meeting I gave you an update that we reapplied and received another year of funding for that. Where that money is going is to consultants that are helping us with those aged cases, the backlog that we've got that we're dealing with. They're helping us with triage, with research and things like that. And as of, well, really actually last week, these consultants have assisted us in addressing 18 cases from 2021, 16 cases from 2022. They're in the process of actively doing an audit for us for licensure, and they're assisting us in vetting some of our new cases. So they've actually they're working on vetting. Well, as of right now, they've helped vet 5 of the new cases, doing that initial intake. Once we determine that it's under our authority to investigate, we'll send it over to them to look at the documentation and then make any recommendations they think are relevant to the investigator, just to kind of help the investigator on that front end research process, so that we're not reinventing the wheel every single time that we open a new case. Yeah, it's been a huge help. The folks that we're working with are very knowledgeable. We have access to a certified general appraiser on that, as well as certified residential appraisers. They've been nothing but wonderful to work with. So as of right now, they've been instrumental in that earlier number that I gave you guys, the 21 cases that we've closed. They've been instrumental in assisting us in triaging those cases and helping the investigator on the research side, which is really, it's pretty evident that it's sped up the process without reducing the quality of the investigation, and really truthfully, without changing the way that we do our investigations. The investigator is still the one that's doing all of the interviews and investigation, steps. The investigator or myself are the ones that are presenting things to the enforcement committee and writing these investigation reports. They're just a really, really beneficial helping hand to our already existing process is really what it comes down to. So looking forward to continuing working with those compliance folks in the future. And I do see, Julie, you have a hand raised.
Julie has a hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, you're saying it really ominously. who is this? Do we know? Are we allowed to know, or is this supposed to be?
Ominously.
Well, yeah, because you're referring to them like they, and they've been a lot of help and all that kind of stuff. And I was just wondering, like, do we know who this is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's public record, as a matter of fact, Julie. It's part of the contract and it's part of our records. Wallet Solutions is who we've been engaging with to help us with that stuff.
Can you spell it? It's hard to understand. Like Wallace.
Okay. Wallet, Wallitt Solutions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that company's been really active in the regulatory space with other states. I believe they have contracts. I don't know what other states, because that's not information I need. But at least one or two other states have been working with these folks to solve similar problems, because as I understand it, not every state has the exact problem Oregon does, but a lot of us have existing caseloads that are higher than we've previously seen. And that's for specific reasons we've talked about previously. But no, they've been working with other states to do that. I believe that Wallet Solutions also offers classes. They have USPAP instructors on staff. They're a really valuable resource, and I'm happy to have them on board. They're really helpful. So yeah, Josh Wallet is the owner of Wallet Solutions, and then I believe he's got a staff of at least 3 people, if not more. But they've got a lot of historical experience in this arena, and as you guys know, this is not a real widespread skill set. Being a state investigator or compliance and enforcement expert is not something that you can just open the yellow pages and find. Not that those exist anymore, but we were really lucky to land with Josh. He's been an incredible help. So yeah, that essentially is the enforcement support program update. Any other questions on our compliance consultants? Okay.
I don't hear any, Chad.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So I wanted to, and this is another piece of good news here. We're just full of good news today at this board meeting. I wanted to update you folks on, with the last board meeting, we got the preliminary results from our biennial appraisal subcommittee compliance review. And after those results came out, we had an opportunity to respond to some of their input. But I wanted to give you folks the formal final report that is also, by the way, public record, and it's available on the appraisal subcommittee website. And it will also be a part of our semi-independent report to the governor's office that will, at the time that's issued, it's still a ways off. But when that's issued, this appraisal subcommittee compliance review report will be made a part of that report as well. It's a pretty lengthy report on the board's activities for the last biennium, and this subcommittee's findings are going to be a part of that. But as far as that goes, we previously, and this is no secret, but our appraiser program has had one pain point, again, for as long as I've been with the board, and that is our compliance caseload. They did note that as being an area where improvement is needed, and that's not a secret or a surprise. But they were really encouraged by the progress that we've made since their last visit. And for the first time in a real long time, we have now a finding of good, a rating of good on our appraiser program. And I think that's due, they recognize that, again, we have a caseload that exists that's over a year old, but the steps and the progress that we've taken were noticed. And I think part of that is the fact that we took our program managers, is that what they are now, Lori? We took our program managers' advice last time, and that was why we participated in the appraisal subcommittee grant, was at the recommendation of our previous compliance managers after the last review was done. So the bottom line is that we have a rating of good for the first time in a few years, and I fully expect that rating to be at least good, if not excellent, at our 2027 compliance review from the appraisal subcommittee. Our second report that we received from them was related to our AMC program, and they found 0 issues of any kind with that program. We are fully in compliance, and they had nothing but good things to say about our AMC program. In fact, they had good comments about both of the programs, one of them being that our documentation and our level of records is peerless, is the word that they used, among other states. So that is a thing that we're doing very, very well. They're able to see what we did, why we did it, when we did it, and the rationale that goes behind it. And there's very little question once they open up these files as far as where is this or that or the other thing. So that is something that the staff, Stephanie in particular, is doing really well. The OCD is rubbing off, I see. Good job, Stephanie. But in any case, this is the first real good news that I've had from the ASC as far as our programs in a number of years. And I anticipate that doing nothing but continuing on that same trajectory and improving. So very good news with our last ASC compliance review.
We'll get that excellent rating on the next one, Chad, I promise.
Yep. We just got to keep our nose to the grindstone. We will get there. It's just a matter of time. Given our current pace, I really do believe that. If not by 2026, certainly by 2027. Let's see. I lost our agenda here. 1 second. Okay. This is the news that I really didn't want to talk about today, this next bit of an update. As Paul alluded to earlier, we have some savings in terms of our staff costs, our salary expenses. That's good news for the budget. It's bad news for me personally, because the reason that we have those savings is that on August 16th of this year, we lost Danny Fry. She passed away in her home in Medford. Danny is the reason that I joined the board. She's my mentor. She's been my friend for a long time, and you know, her knowledge and experience in the appraisal profession, all by itself, made her an immense resource and asset to just the industry in general in this state. She's really going to be missed by myself and by Dan. We've spent a lot of time with her, and she's been instrumental in our growth as an investigator before I held the administrator position. And even as the administrator, she was just a source of knowledge and support that I don't think I'll ever see again. So Danny will be sorely, sorely missed. I hesitated to make any formal announcements at the time that this happened, just because I don't know that it's really my place. You know, that should come from her family as far as all of those things. But those announcements have been made and her service has occurred. So now that all of that is behind us, I felt like it was appropriate to let all of you know what had happened in August. And it was natural causes, but yeah, it was a shock to everybody. And we've definitely felt her absence here at the board. So other than that, and I hate to end my administrator's report on such a down note, but that is where the salary savings have come from. And at present, we don't really have any plans until we get a little further in the biennium to fill that position. And I think we're going to see where we're able to get with our compliance and enforcement support, the contractors, our consultants, as well as Dan and I, and see if we can carry the water that she was carrying for all these years. We'll see how that turns out. But as of right now, I think we're going to continue to see what kind of budget savings we can maintain and what our financial picture looks like, at least through the halfway point being June of next year. So other than that, I have nothing else to update you folks with. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of the topics I've updated you on, though.
No, thanks for that, Chad. I know that was a tough one for you. There are no questions, then we can move on to general discussion. We have an item on the agenda here regarding appraiser licensing and late fees. Chad, I'm going to let you lead that conversation.
Okay. So it's been a topic since really that we raised the fees. The last time that we changed fees was in 2019, prior to COVID. At that time, we raised pretty much all of our fees across the board. One of the fees that I've gotten the most feedback from publicly is our late fee for appraiser license renewals. Our current on-time renewal fee is $720. That includes our licensing fee portion, the national registry pass-through that we send to the ASC. So total cost to the appraiser for an on-time renewal is $720. In 2019, we raised fees, and the late fee went from, I believe it was previously 100 or 150. I think it was 100, and that jumped up to 500. Now, the rationale for that it was pretty clear. We are a limited staff, and appraisers are notorious procrastinators. So I include myself in that group. And so what we were seeing is a lot of folks were waiting until the last 2, 3, 4 days of the month to submit their license renewals, which at the time put an immense strain on our licensing staff. Or they would submit their application the day after it was expired, and then we would have to hustle because we don't want anybody out there practicing without an active credential. That creates a huge set of problems all on its own. So what that meant was, as a staff, we had to work generally overtime, not every month, but a good number of the months. The lion's share of the months, we at the last part of the month would have to pull in other staff members to assist in that licensing renewal process. And so the late fee was increased to $500 as a deterrent, really. We wanted to discourage people from renewing late because we still have to process those things just as fast. And what was happening is that a lot of folks were expecting to be jumped to the front of the line and special treatment. And rather than just, in order to address that issue and the mess that it was creating, at the time, the board decided, let's make late renewal really uncomfortable. And that absolutely worked. Okay. We've seen our late renewals dropped. I don't have hard numbers for you, but I'm going to say more than half. Now, we do currently have people continuing to renew late, but it is not a massive part of our budget line items. I think at last count for the first 3 months of this biennium, we had, I think it was a total of $3,000 in late renewals. So in terms of the total overall budget, it's kind of a drop in the bucket. What I have heard from appraisers actively practicing in the field, when they call me and they find out that, oh, wait, there's a late fee involved, I think it's a pretty safe assumption, given the nature of the residential real estate lending world and appraisal world right now, that late fee that was intended to discourage people from renewing late is now discouraging people from renewing at all. So what we've got is a situation where we might get that late fee from 5 out of 10 people, but the other 5 are not renewing at all. And that's $720 that we're not getting for the budget. And I don't think that that's the only decision, the only factor people are considering when they decide not to renew. But I know firsthand that it is a factor for at least the last 3 people I've talked to that have not renewed their license. So given the fact that we do have an issue of our populations declining somewhat, and that is affecting the budget overall, it seems like, to quote one of you from a previous meeting, it seems like trying to collect that late fee is stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. In maintaining that $500 late fee, we are without doubt losing out on licensing renewal fees from Washington appraisers who've decided not to renew their credential, reciprocal credential in Oregon. I mean, any of the states that we physically touch, they've got a license elsewhere and they don't need to be in Oregon, right? And with that late fee being what it is prohibitive to them wanting to continue to renew. And that applies to some appraisers that don't have licenses elsewhere as well. So I didn't have anything, written down for you folks because I thought it was a little premature to start talking rules, but I wanted to add this agenda item just so that you all can start kind of considering the issue of, if we're going to change fees, what direction are we going to change them in? What kind of impact would that have? What do we need to do? So the late fee being the real catalyst for this part of the meeting, this conversation, I would like you all to consider, at least in the short term, potentially rolling back our late fee to something less than $500. We don't have to put it back to the 2019 pricing, but say somewhere between $100 and $200 or $300, something that's a little bit less painful for these residential folks that are already scraping by with business. Appraisers that are doing lending work right now, I think with rate drops, that business has increased, at least in the short term. But again, that could be a short-term increase. So just in the interest of maintaining our appraiser populations, serving the appraisers, and continuing to protect the public by maintaining a population of appraisers that they can use, it might be time to consider rolling that late fee back to something like, say, 150 instead of the 500 that it is today, as part of an olive branch potentially for the previous conversations that we've had that surround increasing certain other fees. I believe, I don't know if it was July or April that we had the conversation, I think it was the April meeting, of increasing appraiser licensing fees. Not necessarily increasing the inactive appraiser renewals, but for those appraisers that are continuing to actively practice in the marketplace, a nominal fee increase, number one, would close that gap that we have budget-wise from where we're at now and get us over the finish line to a zero-sum game, a break-even point. And I think the previous discussions that we had, we put numbers together that reflected if we were to increase fees by $50 per licensee. Now, this is for AMC. Well, I don't know that we want to touch AMCs, given that we are also, again, at the high end of the renewal cost for AMCs in the country. But if we're talking about credentialed active appraisers, certified residential, certified general, state licensed, if we were to increase that licensing fee by only $50, that would result, at least on the numbers today, in a roughly $60,000 increase to the biennial budget. Now, if you remember Paul's conversation earlier, that's roughly what we're short right now. I think the number is 69,000 at last count. If our current expenses don't change and our current revenues don't change, by the end of June of 2027, we will be underwater by about 60 grand, 69,000. So this would be, in the short term, yet another thing that we can do that's maybe not going to have the most drastic impact on our licensees, but would make a big difference in terms of our budget numbers looking forward for the next year and a half.
Chad, can you hold for just one moment? Annie, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Well, I just have some comments and questions about this in particular. So, Chad, it sounds like the people that are not renewing, I'll put my hand down. The people that are not renewing are mostly residential. They're not the certified generals. Does that seem to be? Is it mostly?
Yeah, that's
mostly them. Okay.
That's probably fair to say. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that number does include some certified generals that are no longer practicing and or exiting the profession. But there are a number of certified generals also that have focused their work on the residential side of things. You know, that got the certified general credential so that they could do more than 5 units or more than 4 units.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're recognizing that the attrition might not just be from that correlation doesn't equal causation, but
right.
But you've interviewed some of them and they're saying that's why. And it's the residentials that people that are saying that. Okay.
Right. Not to say that the interest rates haven't affected commercial lending work as well. It's just that I think
and then
largely the volatility.
Sure.
Yeah.
So a couple of things about that. I would love to be able to see some way to incentivize people to renew on time or not renew late. If there was like some sort of incentive, and I get lowering the late fee is a good idea. I mean, one thing I would just throw out there is, what if we did like some sort of tiered late fee, that the first week it's this much, and 3 weeks later a month later it's this much, and then it gets bigger. What that would do would incentivize people, I think, a bit on the front end, but it would also keep a little more of that revenue for the worst offenders, if you want to call it that. It's just an idea I had that I just wanted to throw out. And then increasing, we seems like over the course of since I've been on the board, and maybe longer, that the number of certified generals is going up, which I love to see because I'm a certified general. That leaning on those fees in particular, just a little bit, might be the way to sort of ease, generate some revenue without hitting the most vulnerable echelon of our profession, which appears to be residential at this time.
Gotcha.
Those are just the comments that I wanted to make and the things I wanted to throw out for that.
Okay. That's good input.
I don't know if anybody has any response to that, if they're like, no, I don't care. I don't know.
I was actually going to say, I really like the idea of the tiered. I think that solves lots of problems, right? The concept of, yeah, some may that very next day, oh, I forgot to get it sent in that day, and so their fee's less, but another person that may or may not renew anyways is going to be farther down the road.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea if we can do that. Now, as far as charging more for one credential over another, is that something we can even do?
That might warrant an offline conversation with our legal counsel. Yeah, that might be considered a disparate impact. I'm not really sure how that would look as far as, you know, the licensing fees being different based on credential. It's not a bad idea.
The only thing I would say about that is that, and I'm just going to say this, because I think it's common knowledge, but I think certified generals tend to be able to get higher fees for their appraisals than do residential. I think the income stream is more substantial for, generally speaking, for certified generals than it is for residential. So if we're looking at the impact of the fee on, and so I'm speaking against my own best interest in a way, but if the percentage of that licensing fee is greater for the residential people than it is for the certified generals, it does hit them. They're already getting a disparate impact. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. In terms of the licensing fee for general revenue or ability to generate revenue.
Just their income.
For assignment. Yeah.
Yeah, just based on the income that license is able to generate for you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that's out of line to say, but I think that's pretty much the deal. Anyway.
Very fair. Very fair. Well, I didn't really have anything else to add to the fee discussion. I wanted you all to kind of hash that out, or you know, tell me where to go if you have a preference.
I think that maybe further discussion would need to be had before we propose any rules about charging more for one credential over another. Because Annie, to your point, you know, that may be true, but there are a lot of residential appraisers out there that are killing it. And you know, and there are a lot of certified general that actually don't utilize their license or their certification to the fullest extent. They only appraise residential properties. So I just think that there's a lot to consider there, and I'm kind of ambivalent either way. But I think that it probably would be worthwhile for us to pursue, you know, the tiered late fee. That just really sounds like an olive branch, if you will, you know, during some pretty hard times. We just don't want it to be punitive. Understand why it came about, but so I don't know. Oh, Raul, I think you had something to add.
Yes, so I think this is a good discussion. A couple things. Yes, I think I can talk to Chad about some of the questions that he raised regarding some of the thoughts that you're having. I think overall it's a good discussion. I have been looking at your statutory authority for fees. It does seem to be fairly broad. So I mention it only for giving you some frame of reference, but I'm not advising in any particular fashion as to some of the proposals. The other thing to keep in mind is, while it's a good idea to have the discussion that you're having, keep in mind that anytime you're going to change any fees, that will need to go through the rulemaking process, and you don't need to come up with something that you think that's the solution, because that process will allow the public, stakeholders, anybody to provide feedback. And so that may give you a sense of how popular or unpopular some of the ideas might be. And then At the end of that process, when you consider adopting the rules that change the fees, you might end up with something that looks a little bit different than what you started with. So it's good to continue the discussion. I think if this is something that you want to act on, you might consider asking Chad to maybe start seeking input now and get started early. I'm not saying you're going to initiate the rulemaking process now. That's not what I'm suggesting. Just getting some basic feedback, input, and ultimately, at some point, if you decide to move forward, go through the Rules Advisory Committee, and Chad and I can discuss what needs to happen in that regard. Thanks.
Thanks, Raul. I think that was kind of my point is I don't want to speak for the entire board, but we've talked about the late fee item in the past. Is that something that the board would like to ask Chad to draft something and enter into the rulemaking process, and then gather more information on the possibility of different fees for different credentials? Just make them two separate topics.
I think I'd be comfortable with that. I'd like to kind of see what kind of tiered late fee might look like.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be interesting to take a peek at that. So,
Chad, is that something you could draft for us for the next meeting?
The rule language is exceedingly simple. Our fees are laid out very, very easily, very straightforward. So as far as proposed amending proposed rule language, that would be a matter of maybe an hour's work. I can also, if you want to get some informal feedback, we could send out an email to our licensee population as well. And we won't get responses from anybody or from everybody. We may get limited responses, but it would be another piece of feedback as far as what we're talking about here. We can absolutely reach out to the licensee population before we propose any rules or anything else, or concurrently at the same time. You know, we can, while I'm drafting these, I can send out we can send out an email to the licensee population before the board meeting, and then at the next board meeting, you all could, you know, potentially decide on proposed rules that would start the rulemaking process, and then we can have the public hearing and all of those things that go along with the rulemaking would occur, you know, just the same as we would modify anything else. So yeah, I absolutely can draft language well ahead of the next board meeting that addresses tiered late fees.
Then let's do that, because Chad, we meet quarterly, and you know, we're talking about it now. We've already talked about it before. You know, we don't want this to take a year to get done if that's the direction that the board would like to go. To Annie, I think what you were saying is you'd like to see something in writing, right?
yeah, I just want to, just, you know, see it on paper and see, you know,
what it looks like.
Yeah.
Look under the hood.
Yeah. And then also see what kind of projected, if this was possible, some sort of projected impact of what that might mean for the budget. I know that's difficult to assume, but you know, there could be some sort of sensitivity.
I can work with Paul to kind of look at, we'd probably take the median number of late renewals, say over the last 3+ years or so.
That's a very Appraiser way of doing it.
It's almost like I am one.
Take an average, Chad. Okay.
Don't say that word. We don't use averages.
It's a weighted average. Yeah.
That's right. So no, that all of those things I can absolutely get started on those. That's not a big lift at all.
That would be great, Chad. And then if we're going to take action, I think we need to get moving and take some action. So, because we do still have a budgetary shortfall. We know that we do. We need to address it.
Yep.
So, okay, great. Well, if we don't have anything more on the fee discussion, there's an agenda item here, ad hoc topics. Chad, do you want to throw me a bone on that one?
Just anything that I put that as an agenda item in case there's anything I couldn't think of that you all wanted to discuss. That's basically open floor. Okay. So anybody that has anything that's not on the agenda that wants to bring something up, maybe for consideration for planning the next board meeting, anything like that, that would be where that would go, is the just general
Great.
miscellanea. Yeah.
So does anybody have any topics they'd like to talk about? Okay, well, hearing none, I guess that I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Captain, sorry, I'm stepping on your toes.
That's okay, Owen.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the meeting is now adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Did we take a vote on that?
Oh gosh, I guess we have to vote on it. Okay, Stephanie?
Yes. Lori,
Yes.
Julie, Julie, Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Motion passes. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks very
you.
much.
Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.